Here we have the hourly price chart for Intel Corporation, stock ticker INTC. Here we can see that the stock continues to make a very strong move higher. In my view, this is probably taking large portions of the market by surprise. This really is a stock that um, has been beaten up a lot in the past. I've kind of covered this in prior videos. You can just pull back here and see that the history of decline here is significant. We were trading at levels above $50 per share, at the beginning of this year, essentially, and in a very short amount of time, the stock has really collapsed. There's not much of a, fundamental reasoning for this other than the fact that, the company is going to be building foundries in the United States. But it's kind of hard to understand how that is a long-term negative, given the fact that, the company will be receiving government funding to kind of complete these projects. That's a major positive on its own. I mean, try to find other companies that, are receiving that type of money from the government to build to invest in the business. It doesn't happen very often. Um, and it's also a national security concern. I mean, it really is a company that's too big to fail in every literal sense of the word. So, it's very surprising that we've seen so much selling pressure directed at this stock. It continues, to this day. I mean, we're starting to see a bit of a breakout now. So I think that people are, kind of coming to the table a bit and kind of understanding that this long term decline was really completely irrational, made no sense at all. We could start to see some revisions here. Some people start to maybe admit, that their bearish positions were wrong. But that still hasn't quite happened yet. We're still seeing some people. I mean, even last week, I was seeing people, come on television talking about their put option trade, talking about how they still expect Intel to continue declining into the mid 25s. This is obviously not happening here. So to start this week, we are seeing a major break out of this long-term trading range. If we kind of go back here, we can see how this really was a very constricted, tight trading range based on the longer-term price action, and it continued for quite a while. I mean, this is a long-term trading range here. It's been in place since April, and we really have seen almost no movement, no real movement until this week. Really, we did come back after the holiday trading session last week. Markets were closed on the 4th of July. So, that kind of added to this sideways trading activity because there's just not as much action. There just aren't as many buy and sell orders in the market when those types of conditions are prevailing and are present. We have come back to full strength in the market. And we are starting to see, some more buy and sell orders that are being, entered into stocks like this. So it is propelling prices higher. We did also see a price gap here. So this is a very decisive move, and this generally is what you see after a long time, uh, period of sideways trading like this. I mean, this is a very constricted trading range, period of indecision in the market. And when this occurs, there's a lot of energy that's building in the market. You do tend to see explosive moves in one direction or another. And this is what has happened here. This is another reason why I don't understand why people were still bearish on the stock. I mean, until very recently. I mean, I think that the market is going to start to change its tone here because it's kind of hard to argue against, this type of rally. But people were really married to these positions that, it's suggesting that Intel was going to move into the mid 20s. If that's true, then you would have to believe that we're going to break out of this trading range, but only see a small move to the downside. You would have to believe that you're not going to see an explosive price movement following this long-term period of indecision. I mean, that's generally not how it works. When these types of conditions are being seen in the market, it shows that the market is looking for a direction, and it needs some sort of fundamental catalyst to start sending prices on a new trend. As we can see here, it takes a lot to kind of stop a downtrend like this. You really have to kind of put on the brakes here. And it does take a bit of time to do that. And it also takes a bit of time to start to reverse from that trend. It's like turning around a battleship. It doesn't just happen quickly. It's kind of a slow turnaround. But then once the turnaround is made, that ship can start moving quickly again. And that is what's happening here. So, to start this trading week, we have seen, some price gaps higher. Um, there's a bit of, there's some erratic trading here that we do need to point out. There's this big red candle here that's a bit suspicious. But overall, I do expect these trends to continue because we've got a positive indicator reading. It does suggest that positive trend momentum is developing here, and there was a bullish divergence in the relative strength index on the hourly chart. I mean, as you can see here, the trend indicator is moving higher. While share prices themselves are remaining relatively flat, so this does give us a potential price direction here, and it did suggest that a breakout was ready to start taking place. This really shouldn't be much of a surprise to anybody. And I firmly believe that there are large portions of the market that are like, what's going on? They can't believe what's going on here. Intel's finally doing something. Intel's finally moving. So all of that said, we do have to signal a couple of points of caution here. One is the fact that we do have this very strange, kind of out of place bearish candle here within the broader uptrend, that we're seeing. And then in addition to that, we are trading in overbought territory. We're starting to approach heavily overbought territory because the relative strength index on the 1 hour chart has moved into roughly 87. We're not quite in extremely overbought territory. That would mean the level of 90 would need to be seen. And we're not quite there yet, but it's not totally surprising to see some type of selling pressure, sort of emerge at this point. We're starting to move outside of the standard deviations for the stock, but you have to remember that's largely due to the fact that we were trading in such a tight trading range for such a long period of time. I mean, it really wouldn't take much of a price movement to now step outside of the stock's standard deviation. So, overall, we need to figure out, where, do we expect this trend to continue or not? The answer would be yes, because even currently, the room to the downside here, is dwarfed by the potential for upside. I mean, we really just have to pull out to the longer term timeframes here to see that the stock was trading at much higher levels. A relatively short period of time ago. I mean, this is not ancient history here. This is this year's price action. This downtrend line here. We're not done with the year yet. I mean, we're only like halfway through the year. So, this is a short period of time. It's not an extended period of time. So, the stock does have a long way to go, a lot of ground to recover. And I still think it's fairly limited, scope to the downside here. We could start to see some erratic, volatile price action. This big red candle here, kind of indicates that's possible. I do believe that this could continue. We're approaching heavily overbought territory. But just, if I were to see a decline tomorrow, that does not mean that, that the overall trend projection or prediction itself is going to be invalidated. We have a long way to go here. And there's a lot of analysis and a lot of trading that's going to be left to do with this stock. So here's the current market update for Intel Corporation, stock ticker INTC.